Wonderful. Very good. And I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Okay, very good. You guys can see my screen?
Yes, it is visible to me.
Fantastic. All right, so let's start, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone joining today this session. I think it's a very important session relating to metrics because it's crucial to measure your success. It's crucial to measure and understand where you are at any given point of time. It's crucial to understand if you're doing a good job or you're doing a bad job. All of this is measured by metrics, by key performance indicators. Metrics never lie. Metrics never tell us, false information. It's your mirror, your quality, and, honesty mirror, in my opinion. So that's the reason why it's so crucial, so important. And I will, basically explain you guys why and how you can help your organizations to achieve more maturity by measuring a critical key performance indicators. And also we'll have a surprise for you because we also build the product, a tool, which will allow your companies, your organizations to measure metrics the proper way as well. And we'll talk about this at the end of the session. So let's start. So what we're going to learn today, basically, I want you all to understand how to measure your quality success. At any given point of time in any of the organizations, if somebody will ask you, so what is your contribution? What is your quality contribution? What is your quality success? What are you going to answer? Right? A lot of people, when I interview them, I ask this question and they puzzled and they don't know what to answer and they don't know what to say and they get a little bit, uncomfortable. But I want, if you're in QA, you need to know how to measure quality. Okay. And we'll learn how to do that. We will learn how to measure your personal team success or your personal success, right? If you are a manager managing teams, and you're reporting to your senior management, you got to show, some metrics which will showcase to them whether your team is doing a good job or not, right? And what those metrics are. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about my favorite metrics, my number one metrics. Again, there's hundreds and hundreds of metrics out there, but it's crucial and it's important to, select the appropriate number of metrics to measure because there are some nice to have and some of them are must to have, right? We'll talk about what is test efficiency indicator and how to measure it. I know many of you who are in QA, that you're familiar with this term, with the measurement, but I bet I can explain you that 90% of the population in testing not measuring this properly. Okay, so you'll see and you'll check it out whether you're doing it correctly or not correctly. If you're doing it correctly, fantastic. If you're not doing it correctly, you should adjust and you should change sort of the strategy on how to measure it properly, right? We're going to try to answer the question, can number lies? And, we will answer the question if metrics can fight injustice. Okay, it's very, very important. I'll tell you a couple personal experience stories where, I was hired specifically to determine if metrics lies or if metrics really tells you the truth, because there was some critical decisions on the table, such as eliminating the entire QA department because of poor quality work. So I'll explain you, what it means to really measure properly. Any questions so far, guys? Everything is clear on the agenda and we'll move on because we're losing a little bit time. We started a little bit late. So, I'm not going to talk about myself. Some of you, most of you already know me. Ruslan Desyatnikov, founder and CEO of QA Mentor. Please connect me on LinkedIn. Again, I apologize. I cannot accept any connections because I reached the maximum 30,000 connections, but you can follow me there and, we can interact, we can exchange experiences, opinions, and, I would love to answer any of your questions when my time permits. So my favorite interview questions. I'm interviewing on a daily basis, bunch of candidates. I like interviews. In my entire career. Probably I interview more than 3,000 people. Again, I don't keep track of it, but just a rough number. So I ask this basic question: how do you measure your quality success? Okay, my favorite question. So how do you know you doing a good job? How do I know that you're measuring things, and as a result of it, you know whether you're doing things correctly or incorrectly? So people on the call, I throw this question in the air. Who can answer this question? Imagine we are, discussing or interviewing. I never call interview as an interview. It's a discussion, okay? So how do you measure your quality success? Who can answer this question, or who can take, a stack at this question? Anybody on the call? Don't be shy. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer. Everybody has different opinions and different strategies. But if somebody will ask you on the interview, how do you measure your quality success? What is it? It's a tough question, right? I mean, I know, because not only you who is on the call, but many candidates, when I ask this question, they don't know what to answer immediately, or don't know what to answer at all. Right? So anybody, you guys, some of you have 15 years of experience in QA, just, take, there is no wrong answer to this again. And there are multiple strategies to this. So how do I know that you guys are doing a good job? How do I know that, you're delivering quality? You're baking quality into your products. How do I know that? Anybody? Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Absolutely. Oh. Please.
Yeah, so we can measure the success of our quality. Based on, after release, if we are not, leaking any SEV1 or SEV2, critical or severe bugs to the production, so we can term that as our quality. There will surely be some, major or minor issues, but
okay,
whichever is critical, if we are not leaking, then maybe we can call that as our quality.
Good. So is there any metrics, like what exactly do you measure? The defect leakage you're measuring, correct? And how do you measure this? Do you have a special formulas for this, or like what is the way of measuring this metric for you?
So, yeah, this measure that I say is after production, so it will be based on the production tickets that we get. So if they are not and for example, if I am doing a UAT, still UAT if you take, so if I am not leaking any critical or severe bugs from UAT into production, so that we can term it as a quality success. So everything maximum, I'll catch that in UAT.
Got it. Understand. Very good. Excellent. So let's say if I find, if I release my release or sprint to production, right? And then on day 2, there's few complaints from customers of, somebody reported some issues, and let's say there's 3 issues which get reported. So that's the leak defects, number of defects. So you counting based on the number of defects. So in other words, you will say, well, my quality success is there is 3 defects, but do you know if 3 defects is good mark or it's a bad mark, right? If 1 defect is good, if 10 defect is good, like how do you know what's the benchmark there on the defect leakage? Do you have any idea?
We can't go based on the numbers. So maybe we must go on the severity, like how severely it impacts the application. So based on that only we can say. So there may be even 20 issues, but those may not be trivial or even blocking anything I mean, any of the transaction for the customer. So, but still there might be only one defect leakage that will totally crash something then. So the numbers we should not take.
Very nice. Excellent. Excellent. So we hear this, some answers right now, which is very, very good. Right. And the same, for example, measure to a team quality success. Right. So you're working on the project, not individually, but as a team. And again, one of the, metrics basically is, defect leakage, which we heard. Right. And we'll talk about this and the other metrics as well. Right. So why metrics are so important, right? Why metrics are extremely, extremely important. The metrics, as I mentioned at the beginning, extremely important because it tells, another story. Okay. It tells you in black and white how things are, right? And again, metrics never lie. Sometimes you can make up numbers, right? I mean, you can make up numbers, but if you pull the numbers from the centralized repositories, such as, test management platform, right? Or Jira or ALM or any types of repository which stores information, and you know how to extract from this, you can extrapolate a lot of interesting and intelligent KPIs, not just the raw data. Because when you look at the Jira, when you look at the bug tracking system, when you look at the test management platforms, there is a raw data, right? You have the defects there. Obviously, you can sort them out based on the severity, based on the priority, based on the categorizations, but still it's a raw data. KPIs, key performance indicators, are calculated in the form of percentages, okay? And that's why, not most of the tools do not provide that. Okay, you have to understand the formulas behind, and you have to plug in the numbers, and you would be able to see that. So let me give you an interesting information here. So you see the spreadsheet, okay? This spreadsheet consists of 40 different key performance indicators. Is it all which exist in the world? Of course not. This is top 40, which we specifically created for one of our clients, okay? 40 key performance indicators based on their request. They wanted to measure the entire software development lifecycle. So we created that specific customized metrics framework for that particular client because they wanted to understand all of this criteria. Okay. Now, again, some other client might wanted to have 80 different metrics. Some others, 10 will be enough. But the bottom line is you see all of these different interesting metrics, which is out there. Everything can be measured through this KPIs. And that's extremely, extremely, extremely important. Okay. Obviously, on this session, we're not going to go over every single KPI because there are not going to be enough hours in a day to cover this in entirety because some of them are very complex and you need to understand. So we're going to talk about just one. Okay. One of them, and that's my favorite metrics, which we touched based a little bit. It's a defect leakage or test efficiency indicator. So test efficiency indicator indicates how effectively we're testing the application, right? Meaning that our test design, how effective the test design is to uncover issues and problems, how effective test design is to assure that your user stories, your functional requirements are fully covered from all the angles, from all the perspectives, from the positive test case scenarios, negative test case scenarios, field validation rules, error messages, business rules perspective, integration checkpoints, UI, usability. I mean, you named it, compatibility, performance, security. I can go on and on and on and on, right? So the key here is the test efficiency, how effective you're testing the software, and effectiveness means minimizing the defect leakage. Okay, so that's the criteria. That's the idea behind this. So let me show you a very, very, very interesting example. So again, what's going on here? So test efficiency indicator. Let me, what's going on? I don't understand here. There we go. I had to close the pop-up. That was the problem. Now we figure out this very quickly. So test efficiency indicator or a defect leakage. Again, test efficiency, we always strive to achieve 100%. 100% means that we are super testers. We covering all the angles. We discovering and uncovering all the defects. And as a result of it, test execution efficiency, right, should be at 100%. Now, if there is defects, the defects contributed because of what? Maybe you missed a scenario, or maybe you were not really concentrated enough going through the test cases and you miss a step, right? Even though there is a step, there is acceptance criteria, there is a specific test instructions and test conditions, and there is expected results, and you simply overlooked or you didn't pay attention and you just simply missed, and as a result of it, right? Now, we're talking about the test execution efficiency of comprehensiveness of the coverage of the testing which you conduct, right? The more comprehensive it is, the more coverage you will achieve on the application, the less defects potentially will be leaked into production. Okay, that's the correlation between that, right? So when the test execution efficiency is 100%, the defect leakage is what? 0%. If the test execution efficiency, and let's see, look, we have one critical issue here, okay, and in production, okay, we have 3, for example. You see how formula is calculating? Look, if in testing, and that's why I was asking you a question, how do you measure it? You cannot just simply say, okay, I missed 3 defects in production, and then, okay, so what is your defect leakage, or what is your test execution efficiency, right? How are you going to calculate? How are you going to measure? You cannot just say, okay, 3, what is 3? 3 is number of reported problems, right, by the customers. So what? How are you going to measure it, right? So there is a formula, okay? It's a very complicated formula. Look at this. This is the formula, okay? And typically this formula, I can explain you what it is, right? So you basically need to make sure, it's extremely important, and I think somebody told me very important today, that you measuring tested defect leakage based on the criticality and the severity of the defects, right? Because in case you missed one low severity issue in production, well, I mean, it's nice not to miss it, but it's not the end of the world, right? It might be a cosmetic UI related issue, maybe compatibility browser related issue, right? I mean, it's not something which is, that you can scream about it, right? Now, if you miss a critical issue, well, it has an impact, it has a business impact, it has potential financial impact on the application, on the users, loss of revenue, right? I mean, there's so many problems can be contributed towards that. That could be a very serious problem. So the most important thing, and this is what I saw in my career, I don't see people measuring test efficiency indicator or defect leakage by calculating and providing the severity levels, right, according to the defect criticality or severity, right? So we have to rank severity levels. And based on the severity levels, we have to put this into consideration when we calculate the defect leakage or test efficiency indicator. Okay, that's extremely, extremely important. And as you can see here, we said critical will be awarded 4 points. Now, it's bad, 4 points. That's a high number of points, right? It's not good that you're getting those points as a bonus. It's actually a big problem, right? The lower points, the better for you is, the better your success is, right? So if there is a problems such as low severity issues, it will be categorized as 1 point, medium 2, serious 3, and the critical showstoppers is 4, right? And that's how you gotta calculate and include this. So what are you calculating? You're calculating defects which you identified during the testing based on the formulas and categorizations of the severity levels. And then you comparing them, you're dividing them actually into the number of defects identified during the production Or if you're measuring this against UAT, user acceptance testing, and want to see, during the UAT, how many defects are leaked as well, you can measure against that bucket as well. And then you multiply this by 100%, and that you will get the percentage. Okay, that's how it's getting calculated. Okay, we're gonna show you. We're gonna share the formulas later on. Whoever wants, please ask me, and I will send you the template, the formula, so you guys can calculate this. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You will just plug in the numbers. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. It's very, very important. Look, I gave you an example. The higher miss is such a critical issue, the lower the test execution efficiency will be for you. And as a result, so if the test execution efficiency is 25%, what is the defect leakage here, guys? Who can tell me what's the percentage here of the defect leakage? We have to subtract 25% from 100%. So basically 75%, okay, 75%, it's a defect leakage here, okay, which is huge, which is tremendous. Now, look at this. We're going to change the numbers. We're going to find 10 defect critical issues, okay? And we're going to find 10 issues, low severity issues in production. You see, look how numbers are different now. 80%, which is test efficiency, right? So we're testing, not bad. We're discovering all these critical issues. Yes, we missed 10, which is low. So our defect leakage is what? 20% here. 100 minus 80, that's 20%. That's our defect leakage. But the test efficiency is 80%. The higher, remember, the higher percentage is on the test efficiency, the better and more comprehensive your test coverage, your test design, your test execution is. Okay, so we all should strive to achieve 100% on test execution efficiency. Any questions, guys, on this? Please stop me if you're not clear. I want to make sure I can explain and we can go over once again. Don't be shy. There is nothing to be shy about. 95% of the population not calculating this properly. Okay, I witness this in every single QA departments, and believe me, I seeing a lot. Okay.
Yeah, we are clear so far.
Okay, fantastic. So now let me show you a case study. You would not believe to what you see. Okay. So a while back, I was hired, okay, specifically to determine what is the issue is with one particular QA department, QA team, system acceptance testing, system integration testing team, okay, in the big financial institution, big bank, okay. There was a problem that during the UAT testers finding constantly much more defects, much more problems than during the system acceptance testing, system integration testing. And everybody was complaining about system integration testing team. They said the team is not good, the team is missing so many issues, so many problems. I mean, they're not doing well. They want to completely remove this team, fire the team, replace the team with new people. And, that's basically what it was, right? So the question was, Ruslan, can you investigate this? Can you look into this? Can you give us the honest answer? What is going on there? Is the team is really bad because there were senior people, smart guys around? What is going on with this product? Why constantly during the UAT, people finding lots of problems, lots of issues? It's because of that, it's a delay in the release cycle. They have to address all these problems. UAT, just think of it. UAT is like production. When we move something to UAT, it should be production ready code. There should be zero defect leakage. That's my opinion. That's my target. That's my goal, right? What do you think? I mean, that should have been every single, goal for every single SIT team. Because if you will miss defects during the UAT, it's equivalent to production complaints, right? I mean, Is it how it works in your companies, guys? You know, you're also trying to, you know, deliver to the UAT production ready code. And when something was identified in UAT, you kind of getting penalized for that, or you start getting asking, people start getting curious to why you miss those issues. Do you have that, guys, or no?
Had such experiences.
So this is the numbers, the real numbers. So this is what I did. I said, and I work with the team, okay, not just by myself, obviously. So I said, let's look at the numbers first. I said, let's go, and they have, at that time, they have quality center. Let's look into quality center. Let's extract all the issues, all the problems, and let's take the numbers. Let's take the snapshot of defects which were identified during the system integration testing, system testing, and let's comparing them with the numbers which came out from UAT team, from the user acceptance testing team. Okay, so what we did is very simple exercise. We went to that release. As you can see, that was the R7, it's release 7, okay, of the product. I'm not gonna disclose the name and the company name, but for confidentiality purposes. But you know, this is basically what was the situation. So look at this numbers. We see total number of defects identified during the system testing, system integration testing, 320 in total. And you can see the breakdown of those, 10 critical and so on and so forth. Now look at the UAT, 158 defects during the UAT. Now, guys, you can tell me, if you are a senior manager, executive director, okay, in a financial company, and somebody will show you the numbers, right? And they said, here's the situation. We cannot go live because during the UAT, there's 158 defects. What would you think? What would you tell? Give me your reaction, guys, please. Any reaction? You will be happy. You will say, oh, yeah, that's great. Wonderful.
We should find out why those many defects are.
No. Don't worry. You should not find out nothing. Nobody wants to find out. Your first reaction. I want you to understand your first reaction. Your first reaction, oh, let's not find out. You said, oh my God, oh, it's great. Nothing special. Okay, no, not a problem. What's your reaction? Okay.
Yeah, it will be shocked only. Oh my God.
Absolutely. I mean, that's my reaction as well. I mean, when I looked at it, I said, oh my God. I mean, that's the same thing. Okay. 158 defects. How can you miss? If you completed testing, if you sign off during the system testing and you said, okay, it's ready, and you're moving this, and in UAT, testers finding 158 defects, that's a disaster. And that was the impression from the senior executives of that financial institution to say, oh my God, what the hell SIT team is doing here? How can they miss 158 defects, right? Normal reaction. Everybody would do that, okay? So, and I said, that was my first reaction as well. When I looked at this, something serious here, you know? I mean, how can, there's a huge number, 158, but let's dig into this. I said, well, numbers never lies, but let's try to dig into this to figure out what is the situation, what is the real, you know, root cause, and whether everything is, you know, correct here. So look at the number of test efficiency. It says 66.51%. That's the test efficiency, how effective the testing cycle was. Now, remember I said 100 minus this number will give you the defect leakage. So defect leakage here is roughly 33.5%. 33.5%. Is it a huge defect leakage? I'll tell you why it's huge. Because we, QA Mentor, okay, have in writing in the contracts with all the clients, we guarantee defect leakage not more than 3%. Here, we had 33% defect leakage, and we guarantee only 3%. Do you understand? Is it good or is it bad?
Very bad.
It is pretty much.
Right, but what we guarantee 3%. If somebody will guarantee you 3%, you would be happy with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So this is what we're striving to. So let's go. And I said, next step, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, this is raw defects. This is all the defects which we extracted. Let's say I want to see only valid defects. And you know what valid defect is? And this is my definition for the valid defect. I said, all defects minus rejected, duplicated, enhancements, recommendations, suggestions, and improvements, right? How do we know how many of those defects were not duplicated defects, right? Because testers in UAT, they could find something similar to what already reported, which was not fixed. Maybe during the UAT, testers provided recommendation on improvements. It's not really a defect, it's a change request, or it's nice to have, right? How do we know if all of these defects are really valid defects, right? Is it, reasonable question? So this is what we did. We filter out all of the defects, minus invalid, minus rejected, minus duplicated, minus enhancements, everything we filter out. Now look at this after filtration, okay? After filtration, look at this. In SAT, we have 320 defects, and now it becomes 263 less because we filtered them out. But look at the UAT, it was 158 defects. Now we filter out 110 only, okay? Do you see? 110. Now I said, this is great, but let's try to go even deeper. And you know what means deeper? Deeper means I want to see only code-related errors. Do you know why? Because the code-related errors are something where the developer needs to fix, and I'll tell you why. Do you know that there are defects relating to environment? If you have some issues in the environment, something is not working, it could be specific to SAT, could be specific to UAT, right? So environmental issues could be a problematic, right? Could be a problematic. Now, deployment issues. If I'm doing a deployment and I'm deploying this to the environment, and I forgot to run some scripts, and because of that, I have some issues in the application, or I forgot to restart some services, there is a defect, right? And somebody will report that defect. So should I count this in UAT if somebody has that against me, that I missed that defect? No, I didn't miss that defect. This defect only exists in the UAT environment. Do you understand? Do you follow me? Why should I be penalized for somebody doing a promotion, code promotion to UAT, and they forgot to do something, and because of that, only in UAT environment you see this problem. In SAT, I didn't see that problem. This problem didn't exist because somebody did the proper deployment or build promotion, right? So this is what I said, guys. Let's strip out and let's see only code-related issues. Is it fair statement? Is it fair ask? I want to see code-related issues because code-related issues are real problems relating to fixing the application, whether it's a UI, whether it's a functional issue, whether it's a database, query which needs to be modified, updated, or that's a real defect which requires developer to change the code, and as a result of it, to fix and address that problem, right? So that's the code issue. So look at this. When we start figuring out code-related issues, look at the number. The number went lower as we, see, to 194 on SAT side and to only 63 defects. So look at this number. All defects, 158. Now code-related issues, 63. But look at the critical issues. Look. Critical is 0. Let's see all valid. Critical is 2, and all defects, critical is 6. And look how many high, 61 high and 6. Now at the quadrant level, we see only 0 and high 18. So medium is 27 and low is 18. So the number now, does it look better for SAT team? Is it better that the situation is not that horrible as it used to be initially? What do you think?
It looks better after.
Better, but still not perfect, because
Yeah.
right now it's still 24% defect leakage, 24%. And remember, we're trying to be targeting at least at max 3%. Excellent. Remember this mark. That's our, again, some other companies might say 5 is also good. Some other companies might say 1%. I never saw 1% target. Nobody can do 1%. I mean, you can do for one user story 1%, but when you do a release, 1% defect leakage, and whoever tells you 1% we have, nah, you might not, you know, think it's really true. Okay, it's very rarely cases to do 1% defect leakage. There is always issues, there is always problems. I mean, look at the compatibility mode. If you're doing compatibility, there's so many cosmetic issues, could be on all the browser versions, or mobile responsiveness on the devices, or Mac machines versus iPads. You know, you will always find cosmetic problems everywhere. So, you know, that's contribute the issue. So that's why when somebody said I have 0 defect leakage, I don't know. It's a question mark to me. Okay. Sometimes it's possible to achieve, but it's rare. It's very rare. It's unusual. Okay. So now I said code related issues. Well, let's deep dive. Let's dive deeper. Okay. A little bit more. Okay. So the next is, I said, what we're going to do. Okay. What we're going to do is, what we're going to look at every single defect from the code related issues, and we extracted this code related issues here. Okay. And we said, what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate every single defect. So all of this 63 issues we extracted here. Look, 63 issues. Okay. 63 issues are here. Okay. And we're going to evaluate every single one to determine whether indeed SAT team missed it, or it's not their fault, it's not acceptable because of certain reasons. Okay, now, and look at this, I gave you some examples. So why it's not accepted as a miss? Because they reported in system integration testing the similar defect. The similar defect exists, which was not fixed yet. It was supposed to be fixed in the future release. So UAT, when they're testing UAT, they're not looking at all of the defects from the SAT. Do you understand? I mean, you're testing in different environments, you cannot possibly scan through all the issues. So there are duplicates. There are duplicates. So what we came up with this analysis of the 63 UAT defects is this, and you would be shocked. Now, 31 defects now get missed. Now 0 critical, 9 yes. SAT team missed 9 valid defects, which should have been caught during the system testing. That's not good, but it's not what it was before 61 and 6 critical. Do you understand? So when we start, and when I paint this on the presentation to the senior executive, senior management, they said, oh, wow, that's unbelievable. We thought this team is horrible, but actually the situation is not that horrible. Look, now defect leakage is 13%. Now, 13%, we all agree it's higher, right? Because we're striving to get to 3% defect leakage, right? 13% is high, but it's not, as it's appeared to be over here, 35%. Do you understand? It's not the same. It's different. So when we presented this analysis, when we presented all of this, when we showed them how you really need to calculate defect leakage and test efficiency indicator, they said, oh, wow, thank you so much. We didn't know how to do this properly. We were about to fire the entire SAT department, you know, lots of people. And you know, and the manager and everybody, you know, there, right? We were about to do that. I mean, we're so happy and we're so glad that we hired you, which drive in, which we drill down into the deep level of understanding of that situation and properly paint the picture, because when you took the numbers and somebody reported those numbers, senior manager, executive director in the financial company looking at this and say, oh my God, 158 defects. But that's not the correct number. That's not real number. It's raw number, but the number needs to be cooked. Cooked means you have to massage the data in order to come up with the proper metrics. Now, key performance indicator in this case helped me to paint a much different picture and the strategy around it, right? But if you didn't have that all of this formulas and drilling down into this strategy, you would never get into this situation. Somebody would fire that honest, innocent. Not so innocent. They miss some issues, but they would fire. They would make a wrong decision on the team who tried very hard and tried to do things the proper way. Do you understand what numbers can do? They can harm, they can damage, somebody's reputation, and, they can bring to a disaster and to firing decision, or they can give you some food for thought that, well, we have to do a different decision. It's not as what we thought about it. Do you understand? So this is basically one of the metrics out of hundreds which are out there, which are extremely, extremely important, which for us to measure a quality success of what we do, in my opinion, the most important one. And this is why I wanted to emphasize on this today, that measuring the proper and have the proper metrics around your software development life cycle, understanding how to measure your quality success, your productivity success, your output. It's extremely, extremely important. Okay, not many people understand that. Not many people following this. Many people just go to the system, Jira or defect tracking system, extract the data and say, oh, here we go. Now, when you go to the doctor, right? Some doctors will look at you and say, oh, okay, you're more or less okay. Some other doctors will do some diagnostics. They will ask you for the blood test, and based on the blood test, they can calculate and see, what's the issues are. They can send you for some other x-ray, some other scans, some other heart, diagnostics things, right? That's what I call deep dive analysis. You have to go and do a deep dive analysis all the time, because otherwise you can make a very wrong decision and wrong conclusion, which will lead to a pretty major consequences, which you will be regret. And you will say, well, I didn't do a proper job in analyzing the data. And because of that, I'm in trouble right now. Or I made a decision which caused and harm a lot of people based on that wrong decision. Okay. Any questions, guys?
No, Ruslan.
Was it useful? Was it helpful?
Yes.
Now, the surprise for you guys is that we developed a product, okay, which calls Metrics Alert. It's a KPI, key performance indicator, analytical platform, which allows you to measure all the key performance indicators. But the limitation of this product is only because we build this specifically for a specific group, target group. The target group is anybody who is using Jira with the Zephyr plugin. Jira with the Zephyr plugin, because that's the majority based on statistics, based on the surveys we have, majority of that population. Everybody has Jira nowadays for the most part. And whoever have Jira, the testing team use Zephyr or X-Ray or TestRail. But for now, we just implemented this for X-Ray. Okay, we implemented this for X-Ray. So if you have that combination in-house where you work, you guys can, have a trial of our product, Metrics Alert, okay? And you would be able to see a lot of interesting things. You would be able to see what I'm basically explaining you. You will be able to see similar metrics to what, as I was showing you. A lot of things from there, it's there. It's a fantastic product. But again, for now, we just integrated this with Jira and Zephyr. In the future, we'll try to integrate with some other platforms and applications. But initially, we have, a majority of users on Jira using Zephyr, and that was the reason to help them out to have this intelligent dashboard, which allowed them to monitor all those KPIs and see how you're progressing, see where the problems are for managers, for management team to look at those KPIs, and everything is extracted from Jira, from Zephyr, all of this test data, all of this information, and converted this into the key performance indicators. Okay. So that's anybody on the call using Jira and Zephyr or no?
Yes, we are using.
Yeah. So here we go. You can try, and you can see, you can play around with the tool. It's a free trial there. It's a very inexpensive tool also. We try to make this very, very affordable for anybody in the world. It's we want people to be smart enough in using metrics. We want people to be intelligent enough in using metrics. That's sort of the idea behind this. So we have 7 minutes left. We can use this for any types of questions relating to this, or in general relating to quality assurance and software testing, automation, anything which you guys might have as a questions. Please let me know. I will be able to address this, since we have a few minutes left. Any questions? Anybody wants to brainstorm something or ask me, for opinions, or, my views on certain areas or topics? Please don't be shy. This is your opportunity. No?
Ruslan, you mentioned that requirement guarantees 3%, max 3% defect leakage. So, how are you ensuring or achieving that target? What are, the steps that you are doing?
Fantastic question. Actually, very good question, because somebody might hear this, 3%, that's great, but you want to replicate this, what our strategies are, and I'm going to share my strategies, our strategies to you. I'm not going to hide anything. I want you to deliver quality products. I want everybody in the world to deliver quality product. Okay. That's the idea. Quality. The world needs to have quality, right? Across the board, in the product, in the personalities, in the people, in everywhere. It's got to have more quality. The more, the better. That's why. So back to your question. Yes, we follow the specific strategy. Our guarantees are not for everything. Why? And I'll tell you why. Sometimes we got the request and say, guys, we have this website. We want you to test it and certify it. And that's it. I said, well, in order to guarantee that 3% defect leakage, this is what we need to have. Number one, we got to have requirements, right? Without the requirements, without the fully defined user stories, specifications, screen mockups, we got to have this, because this goes as our acceptance criteria. This goes our expected results. This goes our validation. Without this information, you can look at the website and say, well, I think based on my common sense, based on my experience, it looks okay. It works okay. No. That's not testing. Okay, that's nothing. I don't call this testing. So in order to achieve this, you have to have a disciplined approach. So you got to build the test case coverage. Without the proper test case coverage, there is no guarantees. who will guarantee you if you're going to just test the application with no test cases, with no proper strategy and methodology on the test strategy and the test plan, that you're going to achieve success on this? Absolutely not. Nobody will achieve success. So we request that if you will provide us with that, we're going to establish traceability metrics to assure every single user story or functional requirements, functional specifications, and mapped and attributed to the test cases, positive test cases, negative test cases, UI related test cases, integration related test cases. We'll have the sufficient coverage, and then we're going to execute this. Now, we're going to execute and we're going to tell, because if we're dealing with the web, there are different platforms involved, compatibility, different browsers, operating systems, mobile devices, and the browsers on the mobile devices. You see, there's so much mix into the picture. Now, we're going to tell, well, client, do you want us to cover on 20 different combinations? Then we get a guarantee there will be no defects on this 20 different combinations of different browsers and operating systems and mobile devices. But if there will be a device, older device, which we're not going to test because you don't have a budget or this is not part of our coverage, we're not responsible for it. I'm sorry, because, you know, we're only covering that much, not, you know, 100,000 combinations, right? Which exist in the world, right? So for those, this is how we guarantee. Now, the interesting thing is we're mapping that success at the individual level. So you're managing a team, for example, you have 5, 10 testers, doesn't matter. You assign them user stories, you assign them a specific requirements to cover. So we mapping this to their success as well. So in other words, when there will be a defect leakage as a result of this module or this functionality or user story, we're tracing it back. Who tested this? Who came up with the test scenarios for this? Well, we're not screaming, we're not penalizing, we're trying to understand why the defect is missed. If you work on this, how come there is a defect leakage as an outcome of this, right? So that's kind of the post-implementation reviews, you know, analysis, which taking place after the fact in case something is missed. But this is how we can guarantee. If there is really no requirements, we have to build the test cases still. It's not the end of the world if there is no requirements. You can still test without the requirements, and you can still build test cases without the requirements. But then you have to work very closely with developers, with the business analysts, with the product owners. Okay. For those of you who didn't read my article, which I wrote, how to test without requirements, by Ruslan Desyatnikov. Where is this? How to test without? Oh, here we go. So how to test without requirements. I'm gonna post it here. You guys can read this article. I would recommend you to read it. Okay. So where do I post it? Here in the chat? So you can grab this and you can read it during your free time. So this is how, you know, this is the strategy which we imply, right? Nobody will say, okay, I guarantee. No, 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 no. We got to assure the first step is we got to build comprehensive test cases. Without comprehensive test cases, there is no guarantee. Bottom line, you will not be successful if you're not going to have a comprehensive coverage. Okay, that's the given. Okay. Any questions, guys? No questions? Was it helpful, or we just wasted our time here today?
Yeah, it was helpful.
All right, thank you very much, guys, for attending this, you know, workshop. We're going to have more workshops on the different metrics, because I want to, you know, explain that it's not the only metrics which you need to understand. There is plenty of others which are extremely important. So we'll have more sessions. Please, you're always welcome, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.